Hi everybody, I'm Hamish McLachlan and welcome to The Real Story, brought to you by RESO. The Real Story is a series of conversations with high-performing real estate agents and industry leaders. The conversations have been had hoping to be inspirational, informative or entertaining, or maybe all three. I really hope you enjoy them. Kylie Davis talks about some worrying trends in mental health in the industry, including her own battle with depression. Kylie talks about the importance of maintaining a heart-centered business and not focusing solely on the numbers. Kylie, thanks for joining us on The Real Story.
Thanks, Hamish. Great to be here.
Pre-property, it was journalism?
It was journalism, yes. I was head of real estate across all of the News Corp network.
When did you decide that tech in property was going to become your focus?
So after leaving News Corp, I joined CoreLogic because one of the big projects I rolled out at News was getting all of my journos to use RP data and learning how to use the data. So I joined CoreLogic for 5 years and as head of real estate solution.
And when you look back now over the last decade or so, did you know that you were drifting into the mental health and well-being of the industry?
My whole gig has always been around building communities and building great teams, and I've always worked with people who have had stuff happening in their lives, and especially in the startup community, there is a lot of ambition and enthusiasm, and I always saw that in real estate too. But there's a big cost that comes around that, and or there can be a cost if we pretend that, if the success is everything.
So when you look at the industry, everyone is so driven and they're numbers based and their success is on listings and sales. But with that comes the cost that you're talking about. What are you observing in terms of mental health? So
the work that I do with the RISE initiative, which has created the Real Care app, they've been capturing the data around mental wellness in real estate. 1 in 4 people experience mental ill health. Real estate agents benchmark significantly higher above all of those benchmarks. And really tragically, every year, according to Victorian coroner's figures, 13 in 100,000 agents commit suicide a year. And that makes us a more dangerous profession than police.
Do we know why that is?
We are an industry that is very head-centred, not heart-centred. And the measurements that we measure our success on are all very external and are all very numbers-driven. And so what we find is that in order to chase that success, we have to park that other stuff.
It's hard to be nourished through numbers.
It is the numbers will never, hug you at the end of the night.
Kylie, everyone that I've spoken to in the last couple of days are focused on number of sales and GCI.
We know that the most successful businesses in real estate are those that have got a balance of head and heart. That it's not about listings and sale price, it's actually about helping people find homes. And what we all need to understand is that our goal is definitely to achieve the best price for our vendor. But actually what we're trying to do is help them take that next step in their journey into feeling secure again and feeling safe in their home. It's not about bricks and mortar and European appliances.
How do you create a calm within that so that everyone is able to play on regardless of the outcome without sinking into an ordinary mental state?
It's about being an attraction agent who brings people to you. Every time you sell a property, you've got the opportunity to make 2 parties delighted. You've made the seller delighted because you've achieved the price, but you've also got that opportunity to make the buyers who have bought that property feel like this is the most exciting thing we've ever done. We can't wait to live in this home. And what happens too often though is because we're focused only on the sale and looking after the vendor, the buyer comes in and goes, well, I love the house, but the agent was a bit of a, I'm not really that interested in ever dealing with him again. So what happens down the track is that you don't necessarily get both those leads.
Ash Barty, we all know.
Yep.
She's done some great work with a guy called Ben Crow, and
Yes.
they talk about the person versus the performance.
Yeah.
And Ash, I think, got very settled when she realised that if she won Wimbledon, she wasn't a better person. If she lost in the first round, she wasn't a worse person. They were completely independent of each other. Yeah. And that, I think, should resonate at least with the agents. Lose a listing versus get the listing. You're not a worse person. you're not a better person.
No, absolutely. And look, a lot of the work that Ben Crow does, we are using as part of the RISE initiative, and has driven some of the thinking behind the Real Care app, which is a free app available to every single agent that has ways to look after your mental wellness better. So the opportunity to, do a quick meditation or do some exercises to get rid of stress in your body, to call for help if you need it, but it also includes 3 free counselling sessions. We've all got, baggage in the pack, right? And it's only when we pretend that we don't have it that it becomes ill health.
Yeah.
When we actually get clear and accept it and then start to work through it.
And it's personal for you because you've battled depression.
I had a bout of depression after I sold my first business. Spent a lot of time and a lot of energy for 6 months or more negotiating with my future purchasers about what the deal would look like, about what my future was going to look like with them. And 8 weeks after I did that, they were part of a hostile takeover, and my whole world, literally after we'd signed the paperwork, changed. And then within 2 weeks after that, the new company that owned us was telling me that they didn't care about my deal, that they didn't really want my company, and I lost half my staff in a single day.
How did the depression manifest itself? How did you feel it creep in?
I didn't think I was depressed. I thought I was fine.
Oh, right, okay.
But my husband said...
Mark said that is not the case.
He said, sweetheart, you are not being, you're acting crazy. And I got really manic with it because I had come from it, for 10 years I had run a business. And so there's an extraordinary sense of powerlessness and anger, like just so much anger that I just didn't know what to do with. So when I went to see my doctor, she was like, well, we just need to turn this off for a bit. So I did that. I went through the treatment, and sort of after I had calmed down, sort of was like, all right, well, now I know how to deal with it, and dealt with it, and and that was that.
And you've got 2 children.
I have 2 boys who are now grown men, who I'm very proud of, Because of this experience that I had with my own mental wellness, when each of them were 14, I'd had a sideways conversation in the kitchen cooking or something, and I said, I've put some money aside for counselling. And I sort of did it a little bit jokingly, and was like, yeah, righto, mum. My eldest was about 21, he had finished uni, and he said, Mum, that conversation that we had about the counselling, could I take it up? And I was like, well, of course you could. So he did that in a really positive way. And my youngest too, the same sort of thing. I noticed that he wasn't quite right, that he was starting to behave quite strangely. He was in his bedroom a lot, he was very withdrawn. And I just said to him, are you okay? And and he admitted to me that he wasn't, and that he was in a very dark place. And mentioned, that time we talked about having some money for counselling, do you think? And I was like, we are so doing that. How soon can I get on the phone, right? Yeah.
And he did?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and he's much better. We all think that we'll just handle it, but reaching out to someone and saying, no, I can't handle it anymore, I need help, is one of the most powerful things you can do.
And if you're writing a letter to your 15-year-old self, what would the top dot point be?
Oh, I would tell her that it's going to be okay. In fact, it's going to be more than okay. It's going to be awesome, because all of these challenges that we face, like what I went through with my business and with the boys and everything, these become shining moments in your life when you're given an option around which way you're going to go. And if you do that with an open and full heart, you'll always make the right decision.
It's been terrific. Thank you for joining us on The Real Story.
Thanks, Hamish.
Thanks for watching today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. Massive thanks to RESO. Remember, RESO, real power. RESO.com.au.